You are locked in to the Cash Flow Show with Dave and Nate, the best place to navigate how to achieve capital appreciation with commercial acquisitions. Here's your hosts, Dave SEYMOUR and Nathan Amaral.
By the way.
Really? 10?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
I rowed a lot.
Oh, that's right. You're still rowing.
Rowing.
Wait, is there a technical term for this? It's not called rowing?
It's
called rowing. Yeah.
Rowing.
Yeah, rowing. Rowing. It's rowing.
Row.
It's
Your boat
gently down the stream. Hey.
No, I mean, it's good. Yeah.
So
We started yet?
what? You haven't started?
No, have we started?
Oh yeah, we're.
Oh, we're on? Okay.
Yeah, we're here. We started off with rowing and you losing weight. So how much did you lose?
10 pounds. Well, it depends on which scale you get on. I got one in the basement and one in the bathroom.
Oh my goodness.
Why?
What's
Probably
wrong?
about seven and a half maybe.
All
Not
right.
bad in 2 weeks,
That's
right?
not bad in 2 weeks. You gotta keep rowing.
Do my pipes look bigger?
Does it? Oh yeah, definitely. Especially I'm
Dude,
sure your
I
shoulders are like.
Like my pecs,
Yeah.
pecs and abs. I still only have a 1-pack ab, and it still slightly hangs over my belt. But we're pulling that thing up.
It's
It's
all
funny.
right.
You do this rowing, right?
Yeah.
And you're rowing with some pretty attractive young ladies. And it's funny for an old fart like me. It's like I row faster, even though she can't see me. You know what I mean? Keeps me going. That and my kids are like on the side of the couch. Go, Daddy, go.
Yeah, get him.
It's a row.
Oh, that's funny. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome everybody to the Cash Flow Show. This is your host, Dave SEYMOUR, the rower, the fund manager, and Nathan Amaral here. Thanks so much for being on board with us. Let us know if you're new. Throw your say hello in the comments below. I'd like to say hello back to you. And also, if you have questions about some of the topics and stories and perspectives that we bring up, get in the comments. Let us know you're here. Thanks so much for joining in. Dave, did you have a good week? It feels like this week just blazed right by. Seriously.
Yeah, it flew by, didn't it? It's funny, man. I'm probably in the region of 7 or 8 podcasts a week within the industry right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So that takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Some of it feels a little bit.
The joy, the hard work of being famous.
Right. Tell me how you started. How did you get a TV show? It gets like I forget that people haven't always understand how you get from A to B.
Right.
So yeah, that takes up a lot of time. Busy. And then the rest of the time is, with my fund partners, fund, not fun. Fund partners. Fund partners.
Fund.
Strategizing, dialing in some new marketing systems, if you will, that we got up and running.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting to watch how the internet can really do a job for you rather than you doing it yourself. But automation, getting ourselves out of the way, getting me out of the way. If I put my fingers in stuff, I tend to break it, so they don't let me touch too much. But it's cool. It's cool watching watching people who are intelligent at their core principles, if you will, their core processes, letting them run that part of the business for you. And then, the rest of my time, I'm talking to investors, broker dealers, financial advisors, all the people that used to intimidate me back in the day are the people that I intimidate today.
That's so true. You know what's interesting? I was thinking about that same perspective years ago, 20 years ago. I used to be in the seats at the seminars, looking up at the guys and be like, one day, looking at those guys that you know the life. And then years ago, I always thought about, I always had this persona of bankers, the banker, right? Goes in with the tie, he's always in a suit. I always liked that lifestyle. And today, and doing funding myself my own deals and being a, non-traditional banker, it's just a whole nother world, right? You just got these, I wear my own clothes, whatever I want to wear to the work.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's
really I always wanted, I don't know if anybody else identifies or is in alliance with this, but I always wanted to be a kind of like a fly on the wall. I always thought to myself, if I could just be in the room and nobody know I was there, so that I could listen to, how an investor would engage with a banker, for example,
Right.
or be in a room where I could listen to, what would it be like if you could sit in the room with a couple of investors who were doing business at the highest level. You didn't have to like open your mouth. You didn't have to make yourself feel better than. You didn't have to make yourself feel less than.
Right.
What would it be like if you could just sit in a room and listen to experts, talk about the deals that they're doing? Or what would it be like if you could sit with, I don't know, retirement experts, tax experts,
Right.
and just absorb that information. And for me, I used to just say, if I could do that, that would be powerful, right? Rather than just relying on my Uncle Charlie, who said, do it this way, because that's how Uncle Charlie did it.
Yeah.
And yet Uncle Charlie was broke as a joke, right?
Uncle Charlie.
So yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it was always, I get it, man. It was always interesting to look at the, the different levels of expertise. I was telling you before we jumped on the call, I just went downstairs to the coffee shop and I had a meeting with a good friend of mine. His name is Chris. I won't drop his last name, but his family has been one of the biggest lumberyard suppliers in the New England area for decades.
Yeah.
They're well known. And anyway, he was one of the first guys to give me a chance. Met him at a real estate investment meeting early in my career. I was still trying to figure stuff out. And he became a financial backer on a 2-family unit that Mary Beth and I managed. We were property managers. We came in a partnership format. Chris put up the capital, and we put up the blood, sweat, and tears. And it's amazing to think about the journey from then to now. Like we caught up. We hadn't seen each other for maybe 10 years.
Oh,
but,
man.
to go from where I was 12 years ago to where I am today.
Yeah.
And you could see Chris's eyes.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to be doing that. I want to be doing what you're doing. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you, Chris. You've been showing up in that family business for so many years.
Yeah.
That takes time, right? It takes time. And he's like, I gotta let it go. It feels like an anchor around my neck. But it's not for everybody. Some people can do that, and some people can't. So,
yeah, but you bring up a good point, though. You know how you just said you keep showing up, right? So he keeps showing up to that environment. But when you change your environment and you start showing up in a different environment, all of a sudden, not only does your peers change, but your income gets impacted as well.
But here's what's interesting, Nathan. It's easy for us to say, right? But and I kind of like said the same thing to him. I'm like, brother, you own it, right? You're a grown man. It's yours.
Yeah.
And then he went down his list of responsibilities.
Yeah.
Life,
right?
Children, dependents, etc., 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 etc.
Right.
And I said, no, I get that. I understand that fully. Like, I'm the same way. 8-year-old, 10-year-old, wife, house, businesses, life, right? We bring those with us. But the interesting thing is that, I think about the investors who come in with us on the fund structure. They're successful people. Some of them like what they do, and some of them don't. All right, we'll just leave it at that. But they both have the ability to earn the passive income because they don't have to do the work in the fund structure. We do the work for them, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of put that to this gentleman that I had the meeting with, and he's like, no, I get it. But some people want to be their own man. You know what I mean? And it's almost like cake and eat it too. You're so heavily engrossed in a certain lifestyle and a certain responsibility that it isn't always easy to change that lifestyle and move into a different lifestyle. It's not coming from a place of financial hardship, but it's pretty interesting to watch people coming from a place of lack of financial knowledge, if you will. Yeah. And I don't mean that in a better than scenario. I mean, just we know what we know and people know what they know.
Yeah.
But watching the light bulbs go off recently with our investors as they begin to see, they don't have to do the work. They just have to align themselves with people who know how to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what creates the changes.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, there's that saying, you don't know what you don't know, right? And if you want to know more, there's that other saying that goes, you don't have to know everything, but you got to know who to call. And
Right.
that premise alone is like, you don't have to learn and study everything, but you should always be willing, if you're going to go venture off into a new venture or get involved in real estate, whatever it may be, you should always have that attitude of self-education. That self-education, right. Being around
right.
other people who are, don't
right.
be the smartest person in the room, right?
Right.
Get around other people who are already doing things. Like you said, Chris was, he was learning from you, even though he
sure.
gave you that chance. I love that story because it reminds me, going back to also the fly on the wall, it reminds me of the guy who gave me a chance years ago, our friend David. Yeah. I mean, he found me at a RIA group and gave me a shot in his organization. And I felt like that fly on the wall when he was raising money from investors. And I was just sitting there listening, taking notes as I was supposed to do. But having that opportunity, I think it's so important. It really puts you in a position where you're like, you can not only learn and grow, but you can say, how can I apply this into my life, right?
Sure.
And thank God for the people who do give us that hand up, right? It's the first people who do say, hey, I remember when I flipped my first property. I mean, I remember when I did that, the guy who bought it from me, gave me a few extra $1,000 on the deal because it was my first deal closing with him. He's like, all right, we negotiated back and forth, but he was willing to do it. It's the people who, I think it's always important in our heart to always, hey, let's help the new guy. Let's help the new guy out.
You know what's interesting? I've had a little bit of an epiphany, if you will. I didn't know I was going to use the word epiphany today, but it's
going to be a big day then. It's going to be a big day then.
It's going to be a big day. It's going to be an epiphatic day. I don't even know if that's a word. If it is, great. If it's not, I don't care.
We just made it
epiphany. It's, this concept of knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. We always used to say knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
And that's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Knowledge is not power. Mm-hmm. The power comes at the point of implementation, right?
Right.
So I got into a couple of discussions this week, and here's where we're going with this. A couple of the discussions were along the lines of, like, I know everything that there is to know about my business model, right? Buying multifamily assets, core plus, repositioning, tenants out, tenants in, managers out, managers in, deferred maintenance, 6-year execution, raise the NOI, raise the cap rate, execute 20% plus internal rates of return targeted on the exit strategy. Like, I live that, I breathe it, I sleep it. I then bring into the fact of, the fund is not just one deal at a time, which has more exposure than multiple deals all going at the same time, right? Mm-hmm. So my investors are owning a piece of the company, which therefore they own a piece of everything that the company owns, and the company owns more than one asset. So, like, I know this stuff. I can have that competent conversation with you, and it's easy. But what I've found out is the need for my investors to elevate their education game is almost as strong as their need to put capital to work at a higher rate of return.
That's very true.
I'm going to say that again.
Say it again.
The need of my investors to elevate their education game is almost as strong as the need for them to get a higher rate of return on their capital. Right?
Yep.
So as a fund manager, this is the difference between us in the private equity world, Nathan, and like financial advisors, that sit out there and peddle stocks and 401ks and that kind of stuff. The difference between what we do and what they do is not only the ability to participate intellectually in what's going on, but is also to have direct access to the assets, to the team, to the systems, if you will, the underwriting, not only of the assets, but also the business itself. And it allows them, without all the years or hours that it takes of education, it allows them to really be a part of the process rather than just being on the outside looking in. And yet, and this is important, and yet still be in a position that is passive. They don't make any decisions.
Yeah.
but they are inclusive rather than exclusive.
Right.
I don't know of a broker that calls
Yeah.
and says, you know what?
I was ready to read that up.
Can I get the permission to do X, Y, Z?
I was ready to read that up.
It doesn't happen, right? They just do what they do and
Right.
make their money along the way. So here's where this ended up, and I'm freaking excited. You know me, I love to teach.
Yeah.
I absolutely love to teach.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give kudos over to you, and I don't know if you remember this.
Bring it back. Let's go back.
Ready? Watch. Nathan, which chapter is it in Think and Grow
Oh,
Rich
shoot. Okay.
that refers to the power of masterminds? Because it was all you do. 9? Is that what it is?
No, wait. It's either, oh God, it's been a while, but it's either, I want to say 11.
Is it maybe 11? I can't remember.
I'm going to double check. I used to know that like this though. I really did.
Dude, you're the guy who got me to download the original audios of Napoleon Hill speaking at events in like 19 whatever it was, 1920 or something like that. I want to tell you now about the power of the way the people feel. You got to just get up every morning and say to yourself, I'm a man of God. I'm a good person. I'm going to go out and do courageous things in my life today. Let me hear you say it, people. We are wonderful. We are, you know what I mean?
You remember that like really well.
Just make that shit up.
I know.
But it was like, you know, Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
He tapped into something. Now, people who know and follow that philosophy of development, et cetera, I think he ended up dying broke, right?
Yeah.
But that being said, what he did was he began to peel back the layers of what people are doing in life to be successful, not only in business, but personal life, et cetera. Did you look it up? I see the look on your face.
Yeah. Because I wanted to reconfirm. It's been a while. It's chapter 10.
Chapter 10.
It's
so
chapter
you said
10.
11. I said 9.
Yeah. We were there. We were the ballpark. Yeah.
We're close.
Yep.
So it's chapter 10.
Mm-hmm.
So Napoleon Hill, for those of you who don't know, wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. And basically what he did was he interviewed the titans of industry, your Rockefellers, your Fords, and he began to find some commonalities in the way that these people think, in the way that these people delegate, in the way that these people operate. Yeah. And I know you're more of an expert on it than I am, but do you want to weigh in on any of this?
Well, I'll just say, I got to say this. I got to give context to this book because when people hear the title Think and Grow Rich, you're like, really? Think and Grow Rich? So I would say this. If you have any interest in building wealth, or even starting, like, how can I start making more money, whether it's in my job or in business, you should read this book. It's simple as that. You have to read this book because what it does gives you that different perspective of how you view your personal life and the decisions that you make, the friends you hang out with, the way you see things. That, I think, it's a great book. It's a great launching pad. And out of all the people that I've ever hung out with that had the affluent people, I'm just going to put them in the affluent category. They've all attributed their level of success to reading, and one of those books was Think and Grow Rich. It's always in there. It's always in there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a how-to.
Yeah.
And here's what I found interesting about it was the fact that I didn't have to do all of it to be successful. Right?
Very true.
What I could do was cherry pick. The pieces that were applicable in my life. Yeah. And I remember you saying to me earlier on, you know, what mastermind groups are you attending, Dave?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who are you hanging out with?
Right.
And if you look into Think and Grow Rich, it's funny. Nathan says, if you want this, you have to do this. I've learned in the past 2 years, well, don't do it. I don't care. Do something, change your life. Don't do something, don't change your life. It's all right. It's all personal choice.
True.
But what I will say is the things that I read and the people that I hang out with and the people that I allow to influence me, you know, is a direct result of my exterior. Okay. What I have around me is a direct result of that.
That's so true.
But in chapter 10, right, Napoleon Hill talks about the power of a mastermind. He talks about how, you know, the titans of industry were consistently talking with each other. Yeah. They were always in in communication with each other. They were always looking for the next best idea or the next strategy or the next operational move, the next place to put capital for a high rate of return, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So it's almost like, you know, a lot of people are out there holding on to secrets, like I'm not going to share, right? That's broke mentality.
Right.
Whereas the abundant mentality says, teach me, show me.
Yeah.
Let me decide, right? Let me decide which path I want to take. Show me the paths.
Right.
And what's happened is that during the course of the capital raise that we've been on and continue to be on, I began to see that my investors' competence level needs to be elevated so that they can understand the communication that we have.
So I want to ask a question to that. Would you say that that's because they're familiar with the security that they've already been investing in and they're not familiar with this new security, or it's not a new security, but to them it's a new security?
Yeah, it's a combination of the two, right? So, a real estate private equity fund like ours falls into a category of what's called alternative investments.
Yeah.
Well, what does the word alternative mean? Alternative means something different, something else.
Yeah.
That also can mean to some people something new. Now, for me, because it's not new to me, I have a responsibility to make it as clear as possible to somebody else. I was talking to a pediatric physician Wednesday. And this particular doctor, she had gone through and she had seen like the investor presentation that we had done. And she said to me, and it was amazing to me, what a failure on my part. Like, I own it.
I love these moments. Go ahead.
Right. She said to me, because I was clarifying some of her questioning.
Right.
And she said to me, so my money, when I put it into the fund, it's not on one property, it's on a lot of properties. And she went, that offers me a lot of safety and security, correct?
Right.
And I went, oh my God, you didn't get that in the first 20 minutes? She said, David, she said, I love you. She said, but here's what I want to hear. She said, I want to hear that you're going to take my money and you're going to give me a rate of return. What's the rate of return? I said, targeted 8 to 12. She said, excellent, I'm interested.
Yeah.
She said, then I want to know how often am I going to get that money? I said, quarterly distributions. She said, excellent. She said, and when do I get all my money back? I said, 5 or 6 years, depending on the execution of the fund. But plan on the capital working for 6 years with quarterly distributions at those interest rates. She goes, okay, great. And what happens at the end of 6 years? I said, you get all your money back and a targeted rate of return north of 20%. I said, it's a 2.4 CapEx. She went, what does that mean? I said, oh my God. It means that for every dollar you get in, you get $2.4 back.
That's it.
She went, really?
Yeah.
I went, yeah. She said, why didn't you tell me that in your first 10 minutes? And I'm like, oh, my head.
Yeah.
Oh, my head. Now, if she wants to tell me about pediatric surgery,
Right, yeah.
she's going to have to bring me up the grade. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Even with my EMS background,
Yeah.
right, as a paramedic,
Yeah.
I've got some foundation,
Yeah.
but I am not and never claimed to be a pediatric surgeon. So that plus some prior conversations with very wealthy individuals who don't understand the power of the tax code for us as investors,
Right.
who don't understand the power of solo 401ks, who don't understand the power of a self-directed IRA,
Right.
who don't understand the power. Watch this one, Nathan. I'm on a kick right now, dude. I'm loving this. Captive insurance and overfunded whole life insurance policies.
Absolutely, yeah. I have another angle. I have another angle to this. It reminds me years ago when I was looking for cash buyers for my single family properties. Okay. And I had to go find a problem. I was like, how am I going to get people to believe in this transaction? Right. And how am I going to, where is this going to happen? So I had to go to a pain point. That pain point was in restaurant owners, small business owners. Right. And they had a tax burden. Right. Sure. So the vehicle that I was using was giving them tax relief. Right.
Yep.
And there are opportunities out there. There's other investment vehicles that people are using that they're just getting hit, whether it's with high taxes, whether it's low interest rates, people keeping money. I mean, traditionally, maybe bonds, CDs, right? Or even just sitting in a savings account. What's that doing for you, right? And that takes a little education. That takes education
Sure
on our part.
I was talking about cost segregation.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys said to me, whoa, what's cost segregation? I'm like, what do you mean, what's cost segregation? I said, it's one of the most beautiful things there is about real estate investing in apartment complexes. We have the initial write-off against gains, right, based on the tax code. And then what we do is we then segregate additional costs outside of that. So we know that we get 27 and a half years, right?
Yeah.
Deferred right?
interest.
Tax break. And then on top of that, once we start cost segregating, we take an additional 7% on the faucets, on the tubs, on the heating units, on the whatever else we put into these properties. So it just, I did one example, and I'm not your accountant, I'm not your attorney, I'm not giving anybody any legal advice.
Only on TV.
Only on TV. But isn't that special? But I looked. I ran a scenario with $1 million investment, right? And $1 million investment, there was at a 6% gain, $60,000, right? Everybody with the math so far. 6% on $1 million is a $60,000 gain. We then looked at the offset of expenses and depreciation that is offered by the tax code. The investor in this particular case put $1 million in, got a $60,000 gain, but got an $83,000 write-off. $23,000 could then be used against some of their other gains in other areas. And I showed this particular individual this, and he looked at me and he went, oh my head.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean, oh my head? Welcome to the world of real estate.
Right?
Welcome to the world of real estate. And I'm not saying that that's for everybody. Everybody's cases are different. But the opportunities that are afforded us in the cash flow business and being a part of a syndicated deal or a fund like we run, it just blows it out of the water. Show me how to get that kind of write-off against your gains.
Exactly. You can't.
Or your losses, or your gains, losses.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I get seasick just watching it.
No, it's so true.
How was your whale trip?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I didn't tell you. It was okay. It was good. But the man has a horrible policy. And I'll tell you what it is. He guarantees you that you will see a whale or your money back.
Okay.
Okay. So
how long do you have to stay out there?
Exactly. That's the problem. I mean, literally, in the first hour, there was a school of 100 or 200 dolphins. Amazing. Then he said there was a whale. No one really saw it. We're like, where is it? Where is it? Blue whale right there. Didn't see it. He drives to the other side of the island. And he said there was whales there, and there was some other boats, all this stuff, right? It takes 30 minutes for the whale to come up to the top of the water.
Yeah.
There was no whales.
No whale.
So we waited another 2 to 3 hours. It took 5.5 hours total to see a whale. I was like, that's a bad business move, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, do you really want to refund a boat of 25, 30 people?
I wonder if he's got a cutoff point where his gas expenses and boat expenses
he was
even
proud of it, though. He even gave us this hey, we saw this whale and we never give up. We wanted our people to see it's important. You never give up. I wanted you guys to see a whale. And I'm thinking, but how much profit are you losing? How about a coupon?
You know what I would have done?
Yeah.
I would have played Free Willy in the cabin of the boat and said, there's a whale, kiss my ass.
Right.
You know what
I mean, it just, I mean,
all right. So where were we? We were talking about, I forgot what we were talking about.
Well, we were.
The stock market.
The stock market up and down. Yeah. And it's funny. I just had a conversation earlier about, this, and I've been into stocks over the years. I use it as a side, a side fun thing to do with one of my buddies. But it's true. You can literally check it all the time. It drives you absolutely insane, and it's annoying. It gives you a headache. But with real estate, the tax benefit alone is huge. And then plus the gains you get on the deal itself. But again, what's even more attractive, if someone is operating their profession or their business and they can still move, it's if you're going to take $200,000 Would you rather put it in the stock market and go up and down, up and down, up and down? Or would you rather put it into a fund like this where you don't have to worry about it? You don't have to. I mean, you're going to be in the know, but you don't have to be up and down, and you're still gaining those returns. You know?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
For sure. You know, the pediatric surgeon, she said to me, she said, Dave, I want you to show me. Mm-hmm. She said, because I'm always going to be a pediatric surgeon. Right. I love what I do. She said, but my fear is taxes, mm-hmm. Insurance costs, mm-hmm. right? Like their liability insurance is through the roof.
Yeah, through the roof.
She said, so and then preservation of my capital and retirement. She said, if you can show me how real estate can solve those problems for me, she said, I'm all over it.
Absolutely.
And then she said to me, she said, it needs to be, and she used the word side hustle. And she said, are you going to be my side hustle to solve those problems? And I kind of felt kind of cheap when she told me
my side hustle.
But she's a friend.
Yeah.
So I was okay with it.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter was that, I have an automated, consistent side hustle to solve all of those problems for this lady.
Right.
And anyway, look, here's what came out of that conversation and about 3 or 4 other conversations. Under the concept of Mastermind, I have consistently been asked throughout my career, Dave, will you teach me, right? Mm. Will you coach me? Will you mentor me? Will you train me? Mm. And I've always pretty much been in a position where I could not do that. Mm. Whereas today I'm in a position where I can. Mm. So what we decided to do was this. We haven't quite got it up and running on the website yet, but we will be starting in an accredited investor Inner Circle Mastermind group.
This is huge. Okay? This is huge.
An accredited investor insider, like an Inner Circle Mastermind group.
Yeah.
And the concept behind it is this. It's limited to 50 accredited investors.
Okay.
These are the folks who are already successful in their careers,
sure,
but want that side hustle, but want it with intelligence.
Okay.
And I was talking to my partners, and I said, well, you know, how are we going to break this down?
Yeah, that's actually some of the thoughts I'm thinking right now. How does this work? How do I apply? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So the way that we did it is, first of all, info@freedomventure.com, right? If you send an email at info@freedomventure.com, and just put in the title, the email title, Mastermind. Just send that out.
Okay.
If your phone number is not on your tag, on your email tag, then make sure there's a phone number there. Just a name and a phone number. info@freedomventure.com. Now, what is it? What does it mean? So for accredited investors who are looking to do one of two things, either learn how to do the multifamily business profitably, safely and securely, number one. But number two, also for the accredited investor who wants to maybe do their own syndicated deals. Like, it's not all about doing business with me. If you're that guy or girl who wants to take on the responsibility and has the time available to do it, then let us show you how to do it. Let us show you how to do it the right way. Let us show you how to do it with safety and security. So I kind of broke it down into 2 columns of deliverables, okay? First of all, on the education side of the Mastermind group, what would it be like, right? What would it be like if you used the same deal analysis tools that we used? If you understood what a good cap rate is in a good market, if you understood what a good cash-on-cash return is, if you understood what a DCR is, a debt coverage ratio, if you understood RUBS, your residential utility buyback systems, if you really understood and could delve into the underwriting, the financial underwriting of an asset, what would that be valuable to you? I mean, what would that be like, right, to be able to do those tools? Then not only underwriting the actual asset, what would it be like if you knew how to underwrite the markets? Because a lot of people say, I want to invest in my own backyard. Well, you might be sitting in one of the very, very best markets in the country for multifamily investing. But you might also be in one of the very worst right?
Yeah.
Market in the country.
That's true.
For underwriting. So keeping the investor safe is the philosophy on the education side, teaching them underwriting the deals, underwriting the market. Then how do you manage managers? What is a good property manager? What is a bad property manager? What are the 5 red flags that you have to know before you use a property management company? Maybe you would like to use our property management company. That's also an opportunity inside the Mastermind group. Then my favorite is construction. Do you know how to put a competent construction budget together on a 140-unit apartment complex? Do you evict 20 tenants to fix 20 apartments? Or do you understand the process of scheduling? Do you understand what a tenant is dying for in their apartment or in their common areas? Do you know what makes them happy? Is it a low cost or a high cost? Is it a low cost improvement that can get you a higher rate of return in rent increases so that they say thank you rather than screw you when you raise their rent, right?
Yeah.
Construction. Do you know how to manage construction crews? Do you know how to put a good construction management team in place? What is the timeline? What is the deliverables? What do you put in there, right, for a variance in your construction numbers? Should it be 3%? Should it be 7%? Do some markets mean it's, you get where I'm going, Nathan?
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
There's a lot to learn in here.
Absolutely.
And tenancies. Do you know the tenant law in the markets where you're investigating potentially doing a deal, right?
Dave,
Yeah.
nobody's doing this.
Why not?
No, hear me out. Like, I know a lot of other fund managers, and I know a lot of other funds. No one's doing what you just described.
Well, think about it for a second, Nathan, right? Let's just pull back the curtain.
Yeah.
Right? If I have an intelligent, educated investor in the asset classes that we buy as part of my inner circle.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Law of reciprocity says it's got to go both ways.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So here's the deal. I'll teach you everything that you want to learn. Then you decide whether you want to do it on your own or if you want to do it with us. And it's okay either way with me. But I tell you what, it gets very exciting for a fund manager like me to have 50 intelligent, accredited investors who want to not only reap the benefits of the business financially, but also get excited about learning the business as well.
This is huge.
That's a win-win for everybody.
That's
Maybe they put money in my fund, maybe they don't. It's okay.
Yeah, but that's
at
huge.
Least they're now competent in the industry. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's why we came up with it.
That's great.
And then what about this? You don't invest with the fund. You don't invest with Freedom Venture Investments, but you're still part of Freedom Venture's Mastermind group. What would it be like if we trained you and showed you how Walter Novicki has syndicated up to $500 million with a B dollars worth of real estate in his career and raised $125 million in private equity, private capital
That is huge.
to syndicate and do those deals?
That is huge.
That'd be valuable to you,
Of
right?
course.
I think the answer to that would be also yes.
Of course.
And then when you're done with all of that,
But wait, there's more.
there's more. I went down the list.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it to sound like there's more, but there is always more to learn in the business, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you're competent in that list of, what did I give, 7, 8 things.
Yeah.
Guess what? None of that means anything if you're not competent in delivering your investment opportunity to a bank. Because we're going to bring in the banks at a 70, 65, right? Loan to value.
Loan to value, yeah.
What does a bank offering look like? Do you know what to put together in your deal analysis to turn it over to the banker so the banker says, oh my God, let's close on this one, right?
Yeah.
So we worked our way, and there's more. I mean, those are just my first ideas on the fundamental. That's just your basics.
Yeah.
That's not even getting out of first grade, right? But at least if I give a core value fundamental on each of these things going forward, now I've got an intelligent group of investors to work with.
That's so true.
Not to say that if you're not part of the mastermind, you're not intelligent, but these people are going to be operating at a higher level of understanding. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I'm telling you, I haven't. It's huge, man. That is huge. I haven't seen that anywhere. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it.
So, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's very valuable and smart to educate your potential investors.
You just called me smart. I like it when you do that. It always makes me feel good. Say it again.
Yeah, it's smart, man. No, it really is. Because I know this business and I haven't seen anybody put this together. I know funds. I haven't seen any. I know some big competitors. I know fund managers who their whole living is being a broker. That's it. They're only going to teach you enough to pitch you in 20, 30 minutes and you're done. And that's about it.
You know what? Here's something, man. I had a team in the hard money business, and the philosophy of that team of loan originators was, we only get to eat what we kill. Rah, boiler room, that kind of, Greco, that kind of mentality. And I've thought a lot about that in recent months. And I'm not interested in that philosophy. It's not part of our company philosophy. It's more about farming relationships.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody qualifies and they come into this mastermind group, Nate, right? They learn everything that we know. That's 30 plus years worth of experience with all of the checklists, with all of the contracts, with everything that we do in our business, right? We share that with our mastermind group so that they're now able to go out and do that same thing themselves. What is the upside for me? The upside is they come across a deal that they can't do, they don't want to do. And what do? They come back to us. They say, hey, or maybe there's some kind of an alliance. Maybe we can put them in a management position on that specific asset, right?
Right.
Like the doors of communication are wide open. And I think that you can see it in me, man. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm on the edge of my seat over here. I'm like, this is really good.
So what we were banging around was we got to always be very conscious of, the mastermind group's time commitment. So we thought to ourselves, how much ground can we cover in the shortest amount of time so that people are competent?
Yeah.
What we decided to do was bi-weekly calls, 2 hours at a time.
Okay.
Once on a weeknight and once on a weekend day.
Okay.
Right? So that everybody had an opportunity to be on the calls and to be on the trainings.
Yeah.
And then with that, obviously recording all of the calls so that the mastermind group members who could not make that live call have an opportunity to see the recordings afterwards.
Right.
So that's the timeline deliverable, breaking down what's inside of the deliverable. We're still fleshing it out, but I gave you a big picture on it.
Sure.
And then once a year, it's the inner circle gathering where we get together at a nice event somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll bring in some other experts and speakers in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Be able to, But look,
you show up yourself. Yeah.
I got some friends. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean.
But that opportunity to actually network, because we'll be there again one day.
Yeah.
We will be. And what is it today? Today's September the 4th. So we're planning September of next year.
Okay.
For our first live event.
Awesome.
And be able to bring our investor community together. The mastermind group will have, preferred access. They'll be in that VIP position. Our other investors, obviously, I love everybody, but, first come, first serve kind of concepts on deliverables.
Right.
So that's on the education side. Well, the other side of the mastermind is the passive side.
Okay.
Right? The passive side of a mastermind group.
Okay.
That would allow our investors to have access to the deals that we're underwriting, both the education and the passive side, but looking at what the fund is underwriting, why it says it's a good fit for the fund, when we're going to take it down, what we're going to do to it once we get it. So they learn the process on one side, and then they see the real world application on the other side, on the passive side of the component.
Okay.
We'll break down why real estate is what's going to save us going through COVID, why commercial, why multifamily, and then on the passive side, really getting down and dirty and why the fund can solve all those pain points like that doctor talked about, right? Why is it that the fund structure offers so much more upside than just a syndicated deal. Both are good. There's no right or wrong. It's just left or right.
Yeah.
Also, the ability for me to then bring in some experts, do some expert calls live and recorded. Bringing in my partner, Kevin Harrington, to share some of his business skill sets. I know I could bring in Jack Canfield on the personal development side and they've got great business ideas.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting. My accredited investors have businesses outside of real estate, right? So helping them with their current businesses, if they've got some challenges in there as well. Bring in my tax team.
Right.
Share tax strategies,
Yeah.
and then also bringing in my self-direction and my solo 401k team.
Yeah.
So those are the
That's huge.
ideas that we have in there. We're ready to launch end of this month. It is for only our first 50 accredited investors that come through. And the reason I'm keeping it limited like that is because it's a deliverable.
Yeah.
It's a deliverable challenge to make sure that everybody is excited about what they're receiving.
Yeah.
So bi-weekly calls, twice 2 hours, recorded and live, and then all of the systems and the processes that we use for acquisition, understanding commercial real estate. So anyway, info@freedomventure.com, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, actually, that is all great. By the way, Dave, we have that scrolling at the bottom of the screen there, you guys. That's the email. Thank you so much for Pamela for being active in the comments. She's over there letting everybody know what email it is also. Thanks so much for that. Dave, that is fantastic. It's really
exciting.
is. Yeah, it's very exciting.
It's exciting.
Yeah, I think it's the best. I think it's the perfect for you and the way you your experience and background. It's the best way to bring your experience into the mix of a fund. It's so interesting. That's awesome. I haven't seen it anywhere else. Really excited.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky. I've educated a few people over the years.
Just a
so
few,
this
just
will be
like
easy.
3 or 4. Yeah.
this will be easy to get going. So we're excited, man.
That's
excited
good
to
stuff.
bring that to the market.
Yeah,
It's good.
It's
great.
Good. Fantastic. All right. Well, good.
You don't know what to say now, do you? You didn't know I was going down.
No, I think it's great, man. It really is. It's so great. But that's about it for today. So everybody who's interested in learning more about that, if you are interested, the email is right there at the bottom of the screen, info@freedomventure.com. And Dave, have yourself an awesome weekend.
Yeah, you too, brother. Be well, man. God bless.
All right, take care. See ya.